Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. We're going to be reading section 3, I believe, in chapter 8 in St.Germain, Earth's Birth Changes, channeled through Azina Ramanda. We're moving right along in the book. And part 3 is just a short question and answer section of this book. And then I think we've got one more section of chapter 8 and then chapter 9, where we have a ton of miscellaneous questions and answers. And then we will be through reading the book. So let's go ahead and just get started. This is going to be probably less than a 15-minute video, which is kind of a nice break because I do realize that with this book in particular, many of my videos have been going between 30 and 45 minutes. So nice to have a little shorter one thrown in here. Okay, so chapter 8 is just titled First Session, and we're on part 3. So the first thing he's asking is if anyone has any questions, would you desire to have query? So the first question is, you mentioned Kundalini. What is that? It is the fire energy, the energy of creation that flows from the area at the base of your spine into the spinal column, up through your solar plexus, your heart, your throat area, then through your third eye, your crown, and out into all that is. Indeed, you may reverse the flow and ground the energy to complete the circuit. And that is where your enlightenment comes forth. You will begin to align the electrons as they pulsate and vibrate with the very essence of God thought into harmonious balance. During my entry into this embodiment, you noticed a bit of quaking and tremoring, and then you noticed it dissipated a bit. That is because when I entered, I was reflecting every resonance that abides within this room and integrating it into a harmonious flow. And when it became integrated, the quaking ceased in that fashion. And as you shift and change constantly your own auric fields, your own energy, and thought contemplation, this particular resonance is merely a mirror and allows constant reintegration of that. And therefore, you will notice a bit of this quivering, for I am constantly changing into the stability of you. That is how a mirror operates. That is how the mirror of your life operates. It constantly changes according to your thought flow. Question: how does aging of the body fit in with the concept of timelessness? Therefore, is aging avoidable? Avoidable? Embraceable. You have a grand, straightforward way of dodging yourself, my brother. Aging is a process that is caused through the contemplation of linearity, so linear time. The elapsing of time in a sequential, chronological fashion. If you know that there is only now, then there is never any aging, because there is never a before or an after. Then you are constantly in the understanding of everything as now, forever through life. That is where immortality is experienced. When you release the dogma of time, the dogmatic restriction, through the celebration called anniversary. That is truly clinging to time. It is allowing yourself to be enslaved, for every moment is an anniversary. Every moment is a celebration. Every moment is a birthing point. Each anniversary is just as divine and grand as any other. So as you release the understanding of time, sequentiality and linearity will become more and more immersed in the beauteous now moment. And as you do thusly, you will go forth into the forever now called God I Am, called Ascension. Question: you talk about going into the Aquarian Age, and we are actually in the Piscean Age, but in our time, we move forward and the age of Aquarius is backwards. I cannot work out why we are not going into the Aries Age. I think because that would be the order of the astrological signs. So that's how that's how our minds work, right? You are actually going in your understanding of linearity into the age of all the astrological signs. The consideration of your Piscean age and your Aquarian age and all of this is the Piscean concept in and of itself. And so the minute you speak of the Aquarian era, indeed, if you would desire to call it that, it is that. But really, in the unlimited perspective, it is the all that is age, the era of God. Thank you, beloved. Question. For the last 1.5 years, I have not been well. I have not been able to cope with my work. Will I go back to my work or will I be well? First of all, there is the grand and wondrous word you have, which is called work. It is a word that has within its very vibration the concept of resistance and labor and effort. And I will tell you this, beloveds, your moment-to-moment experience will begin to transmute itself from work to joy, to play, to celebration. You will not have your work or your labor. Your labor party will release the first part of that phrase. So it's just going to be a party. The freedom to choose what you desire to experience will be acknowledged by you. You will go forth from one romp and rapturous experience and delight into another, not ever considering it work. If it does bring you support, so be it, but it will not be work. It will be a joyous expression of your creativity. Do you know, my beloveds, all of you have a grand desire to know what your career is in this new age. You go forth bumping into reflection after reflection after reflection, and you state, but this cannot be all that is. What else is there? I will tell you this, beloveds. You seek and search for a career in an era where there is none. Perhaps you can be in the career of creating careers. Indeed, the support of yourself will be your knowingness that you constantly provide synchronistically support for one another, all as equal brothers. You will begin to experience this as coincidence in your life. Fancy that. How about that? That happened to me and this happened to me, and how about that? Do you know, my beloveds, you would desire to partake of foodstuffs, perhaps, and you have an entity coming forth, rap-tapping upon your door, who just so coincidentally desires someone to share some foodstuffs with him. You would desire a grand and wondrous abode, and you frustrate yourself and furrow your brow about how in the world can I have enough collection of the currency to provide myself with a grand and wondrous castle. You will never get it that way, beloveds, not in a harmonious fashion anyways. When you know that it may come unto you in any manner, and not limit how it comes unto you, and not limit it by requiring that it must be given to you with currency, then it will flow to you. And you will have a rap tap on your door, and someone will wish you to abide within their palace while they are away for a few months. You see? Open all the doors of opportunity and do not restrict yourself by determining how it will occur. Currency is consciousness, and currency shall pass away from this plane. For your currency will be your energy exchange directly onto the other. Even gold will pass away, for it will be embraced within your auric field, and you will walk in a constant cloak of gold. So gold itself has a limitation. There are many other things we will discuss about your gold later in your time. However, I wish you to know that your workplace, your marketplace, your business, the busyment of the embodiment, it may be however you wish it. If you feel the desire to express in another fashion, allow it to manifest for yourself without judging what you do. All right? So be it. I want to share with you that earlier I was sort of having a little talk with God, and I was saying, I've done the same thing for over 20 years. I've been in the healthcare field, and over the last few years, what I do just doesn't align with me anymore. Some of the things that are really pushed and promoted in modern medicine, I just don't align with. And I love working with the patients, and I love being a little bright light for them when other people may not be, and in a time when they might be scared or worried or full of anxiety. I really love that aspect, but I would like to move away from modern medicine and into something that's more of the natural area and is of the more in that healing aspect. And I asked for a little bit of direction. And now I'm reading this, and it's really funny that that's what we're talking about of all the things that we're talking about. Synchronicity, always. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in synchronicity, and that's absolutely what it is for me, and it might be for you too. Anytime you're wondering about something and then later on you hear about it somewhere else, and it sort of is in that same direction, It's not a coincidence. It's a synchronicity, and there's always a sign, and there's always a message out there. We just have to pay attention to it. Okay. All right. So the next question. Both soul and spirit pass over when we die? Someone's asking. Indeed, it is not really a passing over either. It is perceiving a different dimension, but there is a particum of you that remains and abides within the dimension that you have just experienced. That is how you may embrace all that you have ever experienced and ever shall. For there are particums of light and atoms of energy that abide there, and by embracing them into you, you communicate light. To light, to light, to light, and interweave and thread all of these realities together, becoming enlightened, allowing all these particums of light to collect into your conscious awareness here. Thank you, beloved. Question. I would like to ask you about healing. Through history, we are told that Jesus Christ was able to say to someone, "Take up your bed and walk," and they were instantly healed. So more of a statement that he'll go into on. But he was reflecting their capacity to heal themselves. He was a magnification, an amplification of the power, and a demonstrator in this fashion, very likened unto this, and St.Germain is referring to himself, except in his own embodiment. It was they who desired to be healed, else they would not have been. No one is a healer except themselves. You never really heal anyone else. You merely reflect their own capacity to heal themselves in an amplified manner. Thank you, beloved. If you want to know more about what exactly Jesus did, to the best of the knowledge that we can have today, I mentioned these two books earlier, and I'll mention them again. By Dolores Cannon, They Walked with Jesus and Jesus and the Essenes. It talks a lot about his time as the disciple Jesus, where he went, how he healed, what the outcomes were, because they were not always successful, people that he tried to heal. So if you're open to that, because obviously these are past life regressions that Dolores Cannon did on thousands and thousands of people. And in her work, she stumbled upon a few that actually lived in the time of Jesus and or we're close to Jesus, as in a disciple of Jesus. So if you're open-minded and you want to learn more about Jesus, the human being Jesus that was here, and you want to learn more about him as a person, I highly recommend those books, especially They Walked with Jesus. Jesus and the Essenes is more talking about the people that taught him. Everything that he learned from somebody, from something. He wasn't just born with all of this knowledge that he remembered. He wasn't always Jesus the Christ. So that one talks more about that. And then They Walked with Jesus talks more about the people that had encounters with him, or that literally walked with him and shared his word along with him, that are now sharing their experience. And it's absolutely amazing to read and to learn more about. Okay. Now here's the last question. My emotions are of fear and unhappiness, which I see as the illusion of being separated from our source. Are these emotions necessary in order for us to make a conscious human choice for integration? The experience of all emotions is required in order to consciously integrate, indeed, all emotions, and one is just as beauteous as another. I will depart for now. You are truly beloved, all of you, and I will return in a short period of your time, and we will discuss the changes in more detail. Before I pour this understanding into your chalice, I desire to prepare the chalice, to polish it a bit, so that indeed it may luster and shine and glimmer with the sparkling waters of wisdom. All right? So be it. Go forth now, and until further notice, celebrate everything. Fare thee well. Namaste. Okay, so that wraps up part 3. And then we have a last portion of this chapter, as I said, and this is just still labeled first session, where it's just written as a regular chapter. And then we go into chapter 9, and there are some questions. There's a lot of questions. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about everything. We're going to talk about the violet flame. We're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about different parts of the world, Australia being one of them. Just a lot of different things from the audience, questions that they have posed. I'm sure this is just a fraction of things that people wanted to ask. I certainly would have had so many questions if I had a chance to have an encounter like this. So I'm really, really anxious actually to get to chapter 9 because I really love the questions and answers. And I love all the information. I found this to be one of the most eye-opening books that I have read in a long time. We're getting a lot of fantastical and weird, and yet at the same time, believable, if you ask me, information that we have to take in and decide what it is that that we want to take and what it is that we're just not ready for and may never be ready for. And that's absolutely okay. We're all on different journeys. We're all in different phases. There's ebbs and flows. There's, what we would consider to be moving forward and standing still and then seeming to fall back, but it's never falling back and it's never standing still. It just might be less noticeable if you're just sort of feeling stagnant right now with any sort of journey that you may be on. Never really stops. So I am going to get to bed. It is kind of late. I'm in my pajama shirt, I guess you could say. And we will finish the last part of chapter 8 in my next video. And until next time, as always, please take care of yourself. Please take care of those around you. Be mindful of your thoughts. Be mindful of your words. Remember that we're not just affecting ourselves, we're affecting everybody and Mother Earth, who absolutely could use all of our love and support right now. We really do have the power to change how the cards will fall. It's all up to us. And I really hope that more and more people realize that and meet things with love rather than hate and division. And if you live here in the United States or you don't live under a rock, you know that we're feeling a lot of that right now. We're feeling a lot of division of the us and them kind of thing. And it's just absolutely just not where we should be. We are all connected. We all come from the same divine love, and we're all human beings. We all ultimately, it's funny, we all want the same thing. We just want peace. We want love. We want acceptance. We want to be who we are in this world. We all just have a different way of going about it and a different idea of what the best way that would be. And there really is no one right way or a wrong way. It's all perception. That's kind of what I've decided about common sense, because there used to be that saying, and people still say it, common sense is not so common. But what I find that helps me have more grace and understanding for people as I go about my day is that what might be common sense to one person is not common sense to another. So something I do that might make perfect sense, another person might look at and go, that's so dumb, that doesn't make any sense. And when I look at it like that, it makes it a lot easier for me to have understanding and to have grace for others, because according to each and every one of us, the way that we do things is just fine. And not other people, other people may not look at it like that, but that's all right. And if thinking about it like that helps you just to remember that the common sense isn't so common, it's really not common sense. It's perception and perspective. That's all it is at the end of the day. And that's pretty simple when you think about it. Hard to break because we've been so conditioned to feel that every single person in every single situation should bend to our will, whether it's the driver in front of us or the weather on the day we want to go on a picnic. Acceptance and grace and not assuming, huge things that if you work on those things throughout your day, as you go in your interactions with people, will make you a much more joyous person and lift the energy and lift the vibration everywhere you go. And there's nothing you can do that it not only helps you, but it helps others. It helps everything in creation. It reaches much farther than you'll ever see and maybe ever know. And that's all right, because others do the same for us and we don't realize it too. All right, I'm done. So I will see you in my next video, the last section of chapter 8. Until then, take care of yourself, okay? Bye-bye.